Hello, boys and girls. I hope everyone is doing well today. Today's lesson will have us using our shared reading book. Now, this is the one that you got from school a few weeks ago. It's for units 7 and 8. So, we will be reading from this book today, and I want to make sure everyone gets it. If you don't have it, you can just stop the video and go and get it and then restart the video. All right, before we go to our book, I want us to review our spelling words that you got for the last lesson on last week. Okay. It's the OA spelling, no, the long O spelling, I'm sorry. Long O spellings, O, OA, OE, and OW. All of these spellings say O when you see them in a word. So, let's start with the first two. O and O. These two words have the O spelling. Okay, and what are they? Go, G-O, and cold, K-old. Remember we said if we cover up the C, it's just old. Then we have OA. OA. OA says O and OA says O, so toast, toast, soap, soap. Then we have the OE. O, hoe, remember that's a gardening tool, and then O, toe, and then OW. Now both of these have blends, so the shoe card, O, show, fl from the flower card, FL blend, flows, flows, like something that's moving along, like water in a river. Okay, now let's add some new words. Let's use our understanding of the long O spelling, and let's go back and look at some new words. Remember, OE, OE. OE says O, so this would be O, row. Now that's not like a row when we talk about our choral counting and something that goes across. This row talks about the eggs of some types of fish. Okay, so this is another word for egg. And then doe, D-O, doe, female deer. Row, doe. I know they rhyme because they have the same middle and ending sound, and these two just have a middle sound, O. The last sound is just O. So row rhymes with doe, and you probably are thinking, oh, but it also rhymes with toe, and you're right. Or it rhymes with hoe. All of them have the OE sound, the OE spelling. Okay, OA. Different words than our spelling words. OA, again, FL from flower card, oat, float. boat. So float, boat. Remember, OA says O. And then finally, let's do OW again. Different words. OW says O. So this is another L blend. Bl, bl. Put the B sound with the L sound. Bl, O. Blow. And then this is a longer word. And I see two letters here that are double. Those are double consonants. Remember, consonants are letters that are not vowels. So this word has two parts in it. I can divide it in between the two consonants, the two L's. So, f-al, fall, o, because that O-W is saying O. Low, follow, follow. Now remember I just said that we divide the word between the two consonants. So consonants are letters that are not vowels. So let's move these so you can see this. Consonants are any letters that are not vowels. So our vowels, we know our vowels are A, E, I, O, and U. Sometimes Y. Anything that's not a vowel is a consonant. So that's why the letters are, you can see some are missing. Consonants are B, C, D, F, G, H, J, K, L, M, N, P, Q, R, S, T, V, W, X, Y, and Z. And I put a little curly line around Y because sometimes Y does double duty. It has two jobs. Sometimes it's a consonant. Sometimes it acts as a vowel. So sometimes you'll hear people say, oh, the vowels are A, E, I, O, U, and sometimes Y, because Y can be a vowel sometimes. It's usually just a consonant. So since L is a consonant, when I'm looking at longer words and I see two consonants together, I know that I can divide that word in the middle of those consonants and figure out that this word is going to have two syllables. We usually clap syllables, or we can count syllables. So the first syllable, al, fall, l, o, low, follow. Okay, that was an extra word for our long O spelling. And also two syllable word. Okay, now let's take a look at let's just take a quick look at what our high frequency words were for last week. We had always, and this one has two syllables too. Always. Because I see all, even though it's one L, always. Found, know, and your. Remember, this know talks about understanding how to do something or understanding something. You have the knowledge. So, always, found, know, and your. All right. Hopefully everybody has their book. And we're going to take a look at our story. My shared reading, let's turn, because now we're on the first unit in this book, which is past, present, and future. Remember last week we talked about why is it important to study the past? And we said because we can learn things from the past. Well, something we're going to learn about today is cars. I want you to think about the kind of car you have in your family. Maybe it's your mom's car or your dad's car or your auntie's car, your uncle's car, your cousin's car. Think about how those cars look. We have many different types of cars. Regular cars, we have what's called SUVs, which are sports utility vehicles. They're like small trucks. Some of you have seen my little truck. I have a SUV. It's actually made by a company, and it has a special name. My truck is a Terrain. But I want you to right now think about your car or cars that you've seen, and then look at these pictures. Are these pictures of cars now, or do you think they're pictures of cars from long ago? I know some of you are already looking at the numbers on the page, and you can tell that these numbers look like dates, and you're right. These dates are from long ago. So these pictures are from the very first cars that were made here in the United States. Our story today is entitled The First Cars. And I want you to follow along and listen listen for this information. When were the first car made? And I need to rephrase that because I didn't say that question right. When was the first car made? All right, let's listen. Out on the road today, there are lots of cars. That was not always the case. The first car was made in 1769, but cars were not popular until the early 1900s. In 1908, Henry Ford began making a car called a Model T. The Model T was slow and kind of plain. The Model T did not cost much, and it worked well. It changed the way people lived. I wonder what they mean by that. All right, boys and girls, let's go back in the story and talk about the information that we just learned about. In this story, it did tell us when the first car was made. When was the first car made? Well, if I check the story, I can see this sentence right here. The first car was made in 1769. Wow, that sure is a long time ago. Right now, we're in the year 2020. So I want you to think about dates like this. Look at the number 17 and count from 17 up to 20 because we're in the year 2020. This number is 1769. So if we count up 17, 18, 19, 20, that's 3. But it's not just 3 years, it's 300 years. So we're talking about almost 300 years ago. The first car was made in 1769, but cars were not popular. That means a lot of people didn't even like the idea of having a car, or a lot of people didn't even have cars until the early 1900s. So if I count again, 17, 18, 19, it took 200 years for people to even understand how good it could be to have a car. And once they did that, that's why we say the cars became popular. Right now, cars are very popular. Some families have more than one car. The mom might have a car, dad might have a car, the older brothers and sisters might have cars too. So cars are extremely popular now. That was the answer to the question. When was the first car made? Now, let's read it again before we go too far. This time I want you to read it with the recording. Are you ready? Okay, it's going to start here with the title. This is the title of the story. Remember, a title is simply the name of the story. Let's begin.
The first cars. Out on the road today, there are lots of cars. That was not always the case. The first car was made in 1769, but cars were not popular until the early 1900s. In 1908, Henry Ford began making a car called a Model T. The Model T was slow and kind of plain, but the Model T did not cost much and it worked well. It changed the way people lived.
Okay, so how do you think it changed the way people lived? What do you think they probably did before cars were invented? How did they get from one place to another? Yeah, maybe they walked. Yes, they had bicycles then, so maybe they rode bicycles. Yeah, they even rode horses. They didn't have a car yet. They didn't know about cars, but they used horses to get around. But once the car was invented, it changed the way people lived. People could travel using cars. And today, people still do that. You can take a nice long trip in a car. You don't have to ride, well, we have trains and planes, but you can also drive in your car to get from one place to another. Now, Henry Ford began making a car called the Model T. This was the first car, boys and girls, that was made, and they made a lot of them. So this is the first car that they made, and they said it was in mass production. That means they made a lot of them. And they were able to make these cars quickly, and they didn't cost very much. So that helped people to be able to buy them. Today, cars cost, well, I think it's a lot of money, and your parents probably think so too. But back then, they made these cars so that they didn't really cost a lot, so many people were able to buy them. The Model T was slow and kind of plain. My car and many cars right now, they can go up to 120 miles an hour. Back then, the Model T could probably just go about 15 miles an hour. And that's all. So they were slow and kind of plain. Look at the picture. These aren't fancy cars. But that helped the cars not to cost too much. Even though they were plain and slow, they worked well. So people knew if they bought a car, they could use the car. It could be what's called dependable. Okay, let's get ready to do what we see at the bottom of our page. And I know some of you like to read it yourself, but let's make sure we're doing it correctly. Okay, with your pencil or crayon or whatever you have, we're going to circle a word that has the same O sound as told. And this one is OA, but it might not be OA. Okay, the same sound the same O sound as toad. Okay, I'm going to activate my pen and get a color. And okay, let's see. Out, I see a O, but that's not a long O. Out on the road. Oh, that has OA too. Let's see. Circle it. Yes. Out on the road, there are lots of cars. That was not always the case. The first car was made in 1769, but cars were not popular until the early 1900s. Okay, I want us to also look for other words that have the O sound. In 1908, Henry Ford, that's almost the O sound, but OR, that's not quite the O sound. Henry Ford began making a car called a Model T. The Model T was slow. Oh, let's do that one. O W. And kind of plain. Okay. The Model T did not cost, oh, I see an O, but that's not long O, much, and it worked well. It changed the way people lived. Okay, I think we got it. All right, next, let's see. It says, underline a word that is another way of saying all the time, every time. Okay, all the time, every time. Out on the road today, there are lots of cars. That was not always. Always, yes, always means all the time, every time. Good job. All right, last thing we need to do. Put a star next to an important detail from the text. Something that's important that we learned from the story. Well, we learned when the first car was made, and that's very important. The first car was made in 1769, but cars were not popular until the early 1900s. Okay, let's do this. I'm going to change the color. Let's put our star here because that's the beginning of the sentence, and that's the one we're going to mark. Okay. All right, I didn't quite do my star the same way, so I'm going to go back and put a little line through it. All right, that was an important detail. That told us when the first car was made. And boys and girls, this is true. This is history that we're reading about. This is actually a little social studies lesson, as our title shows us here in the bar. So we're learning about actual events in history. Okay, this time I want us to review something. So I want you to change the color. If you are using crayons, you can get a different color because I want us to review nouns. Okay? Nouns. And I was going to have us do this. So let me see if I can still do it. Let's do a text box. Okay, and let's put a box here. I want you to write on this side. I have to put a box because when I use this program, I can't just write with the pen. I have to actually put a text box. And now it doesn't want. Okay, there we go. In your box, or no, on your page, write the word nouns. Oh, I think I can, in my brain, I'm hearing people say, I know, a noun is a person, place, or thing. Let's do just person and thing today. So you're right, a noun names a person, a place, or a thing. We had a person in our story, and we even know his name. He was the person who made the Model T car. Remember him? He's right here on our page, Henry Ford. So you can circle it and write noun, circle his name, or you can write it on the page. So we have our noun list going. Nouns. Nouns can be a person, like Henry Ford. He's also, we know that he's a man, so that's also a type of person. His name is what we're going to be calling a proper noun, and we're going to do more of that tomorrow or in the next lesson. But I just want you to know that it can be the actual name of a person or just the type of person, like man. Now, like I just said, a noun can be a person, a place, or a thing. Let's do thing. Can you find the name of a thing in the story? A thing. Yeah, road. We wrote that. We circled that. A road is a thing. Can you find anything else? Anything else? Out on the road today, there are lots of cars. Cars. Yes. Cars. Good job. So, nouns again can be a person, a place. We didn't do a place, but it can also be a thing. When we're writing sentences, boys and girls, we always have a noun in our sentence because we have to say who the sentence is about. Okay. Great work. All right. Now, I want you to practice reading this story again today. And you can continue to just use this as a reading practice. Okay, you're also going to do some writing. This is going to be your writing prompt. And it says, excuse me, I like to ride in a car. I wish I could go, and then you're going to fill in the space. Now, boys and girls, when you do your writing, you're going to do it actually in the shared reading book. I want to show you some examples of what you can write. You could say, I like to ride in a car. I wish I could go to the park and play with my friends. I know you're probably wishing that you could actually do that right now because we've been inside for so long. Or you can say, I like to ride in a car. I wish I could go to the beach and play in the sand. I want you to think of a way that you can complete this short writing sentence. But remember, you're going to write all of it. So, in your shared writing book, you're going to put this information. Okay. Okay, so I'm having trouble making the text box a little bit bigger, so we're just going to make it work here. Okay, so let me make my font a little bit bigger. And you're going to write on the line this. I like to ride in a car. Period. That's the first sentence. I like to ride in a car. I wish I could go, and then I'm leaving the space because you're going to put something in the space. Now, you can write it from here, or boys and girls, I'm putting this writing prompt sentence on the weekly planner that I send to your parents each week, so you can see it there as well. You need to finish this writing today, and yes, you can draw a picture. Draw a picture of you going somewhere in your car, and it should match. Wherever you say you're going, your picture needs to show that. If you go to the beach, you need a picture of you at the beach. If you go to the park, you need a picture of you in the park. If you go to your cousin's house or somewhere else, you need to show that in the picture. Okay. And please don't forget, you will need to read this story again. All right, boys and girls, that's all for today. Stay safe and take care. I'll see you in the next lesson. Bye.